Officer's Choice is the third highest seller of spirits across the planet. And that's after 2 years where we've seen demonetisation, where we've seen the Bihar government implement prohibition, where we've seen the government say you can't sell on the side of highways. So despite all this, Officer's Choice continues to be one of the big players on the planet. But the rest of the world kind of has a problem with Officer's Choice because they say it's not really whiskey. Indian government says it's Indian made foreign liquor, or IMFL, if you've ever heard of that or seen that on a bottle. So what exactly is the difference? You've got to go back a few decades to figure out. So back at the turn of not turn of the century, back at independence, India didn't really have a drinking culture. I mean, yeah, we had some local drinks. We had toddy, we had arak, we had mahua. We still have all of those. But it wasn't a big mass-produced thing. Then around 1980s, some of the states started opening up. They started going, okay, look at the rest of the world. They've got whiskey, rum, vodka. They're making so much money off it. Why can't we do that? One problem was we had no expertise in this. So what we did was very simple. And there are two types of distillation for alcohol, right? So you can have this something called pot distillation, which is literally a little bowl that you put the alcohol in and you distill it. Or you can have cylinder distillation, where you put the alcohol in that and you distill it. Now, cylinder distillation is what gives you some really potent stuff. But pot distillation is what gives you the authentic stuff. So you go to Scotland where they make scotch, they do it in pots. You go to Cuba where they make rum, they do it in pots. The only thing globally that's made in a cylinder is vodka. But in India, we make all of our alcohol in cylinders, which is why we call it Indian made foreign liquor. Because we're doing it our own way and we're pretending it's some foreign brand. We're pretending it's whiskey, we're pretending it's rum, we're pretending it's a vodka. Well, technically it is vodka. But what happens here is we don't actually use the right ingredients, we don't use the right method of distillation, which means it ends up with just using different pieces of molasses to make rum, to make the whiskey flavor, the rum flavor, whatever, and put it into what is primarily just a vodka form of creating alcohol. Now don't get me wrong, I love Indian liquor, Indian IMFLs. Old Monk is my favorite rum on the planet. But if you take it to South America, people are going to be surprised. They're going to be, yeah, that's okay, it kind of tastes like rum, but this isn't rum, it's not Bacardi, it's not cachaça, which is a Brazilian sugarcane liquor. So what is the problem here? Why do we have these differing standards? One, like I said, in the 1980s, people just trying to make anything. We didn't have the expertise. So we made something, added some flavors, and it just grew from there. We had liberalization, so we had a lot of foreign liquors come in and compete. But today, with India still consuming nearly 50% of the world's whiskeys, we still keep making it the same way we made it for 30 years. In a cylinder distillation method, just add some random flavors at the end and hope for the best. Why is this a problem? So today, if you look around, especially if you live in a city in India, there are a lot of these craft alcohol guys coming up. You've got Indian gin, Indian tequila, Indian rum. And I don't mean, the old style ones. New guys who are doing premium craft brands, they're selling in America, they're selling in Europe. And they're trying to make the alcohol industry evolve. That's probably the best way to put it. So what they want is for India, we have a huge revenue of alcohol, but what they want is for India to become a standardized country where it's easy to create a bigger craft industry and it's easy to export Indian products. Right now, we keep talking about, oh, tequila is so great and you think of Mexico, rum's so great and you think of Cuba, vodka is so great, you think of Russia. What a lot of these craft guys want to do is make an Indian liquor great. So there's people trying to make toddy on a large scale, there's people who want to make mahua on a large scale. But we can't do that because the Indian government, for the longest times, had no standards on how to do pot distillation. And no standards means no guidelines, right? So someone wants to get into industry, they've got to do all the research themselves. They've got to go abroad, they've got to talk to breweries abroad, distilleries abroad, figure out exactly how everything is done. There's a reason why Indians don't have great premium brands that go all across the planet. The best ones we have are the ones that Kingfisher have bought out in Scotland or Europe or wherever. But that's slowly changing. So 2018, the government finally put out some standards saying, okay, this is how you do it. But initially, before the industries got involved, the players in the industry got involved, it was some 50-year-old standards saying, oh yeah, we used to make it 50 years ago like this. That's how England made it back then. So let's just set those standards. It'll be fine. The problem with those standards is it leaves no room for innovation. It leaves no room for exploration of Indian flavors. Now, all of this, you may be going, why does it matter? Who cares if we have Indian liquor or have Indian-made foreign liquor or why Mexican liquor, Spanish liquor, whatever. How does it matter, right? As long as you get a good stock in your bar, it's all good. Difference is tequila, vodka, bourbon, scotch. These things give their own countries a certain amount of pull. So, for example, people in Cuba, one of Cuba's biggest reasons for having trade outside America, despite the fact that America for 60 years put a blockade on that country, is because they made great cigars and great rum, and the rest of the world wanted that. That single thing kept their economy afloat. Now, if India can get a liquor like that, it gives us a lot of soft power. Okay, 10 years down the line, we build an industry like that, we start exporting, and it's already happening. There's already people in America and Europe drinking Indian liquors, more than they are in India, which is another thing we'll get to in a bit. But if we can get this to work, if we can get an industry built, we can get people to start liking it, then you have the soft power, right? So imagine 10 years down the line, UK comes to us and says, listen, we're going to increase the prices on visas for Indians to UK. In return, the Indian government just says, yeah, if you do that, we'll increase the tax on mahua to UK. That alone, that small thing will help you balance the scales. Today, we don't have that kind of soft power. We have a lot of power saying, oh, look at us, we have so many people, so much resources, so much money. Maybe we can do something with it. But we don't have that soft cultural power. You know, England with their football saying, oh, we'll stop showing the English Premier League in India if you don't give us X, Y, Z. So these small things matter, and liquor is something that we do well, so we shouldn't hinder ourselves. Which brings me to the last point of what we're talking about today. Distilling liquor in India, selling beer in India, whatever it is, it's extremely difficult if you're a small guy. If you're one of these legacies like Kingfisher, where you've been around for 40 years, then all right, fine. You've worked the system, you know who's in charge in every state, and you can go from there. But if you're a new guy, if you're making something brand new, your product could be beautiful, it could be great, it could be the best liquor on the planet, objectively speaking somehow. But it doesn't matter, because if you brew it in Goa, then you've got to get the permission of the Karnataka government, you've got to get permission of the Tamil Nadu government, you've got to get the permission of the Delhi government. You have to go to each and every single state and union territory differently, pay different taxes for each place, and hope that somehow your math across all these 28 states plus union territories is still correct, or 29 states now. So it's impossibly hard to keep accounts, to keep basic, balance sheet going. So how do you expand this alcohol industry? Like I said, these standards have been set up this year, and they are slowly being improved upon, so new guys can come into the industry and help build it. And this also helps a lot of the people in India. Now you imagine in America, where they make bourbon, the entire stretch of America where they make bourbon, the local guys, the guys who've been doing moonshine for years, they've suddenly got a product they can sell. In Mexico, in the tequila region, the locals who have farms just need to start growing the plants needed for tequila. They can sell that out there. Now Indians, we have a whole stretch in the middle, a whole stretch in the south that does toddy. That's millions of people who can get access to a bigger market, access to more money, more opportunities. Similarly, across central India, we have a whole bunch of people into literally the 100 million, 150 million people who work with mahua, which is just a little flower that is distilled. And nothing but that, it's the only alcohol on the planet that's distilled from a flower. So, or primarily distilled from a flower. So this creates a lot of economic opportunities. And at the end of the day, it gives us something to be proud of as Indians. I know it's a funny thing to say I'm proud of alcohol as an Indian, but it's something. We don't have too many exports on a global scale that we can be proud of. This is something that's ready, it's there, we've got people working on it. The only thing holding us back is a lack of coherence at the governmental stage. But luckily, it looks like it's changing. There's a lot of people fighting for it. And who knows, maybe 10 years down the line, European bars are going to be stocked with tequila, gin, and mahua. Anyway, until tomorrow, this has been the Business Update in the Big Scope.